Ready to unlock your spiritual gifts and take your personal growth to the next level? In this episode, we explore practical tools and soul shifting modalities from tarot to energy healing, shadow work to your past life healing that help you step into your power as a conscious creator. Whether you're seeking guidance on your own awakening or want to bring these gifts to your business, you'll find inspiration and accountable wisdom right here. Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, and transformational coaches stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to help entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible leveraging Substack and podcasts. Today, we are speaking with Melanie Stevens. Melanie is a gifted spiritual teacher, Reiki Master, and tarot expert who helps people unlock their multidimensional nature and step into greater self-awareness. Through her best-selling courses and free workshops, she empowers seekers to explore tarot, energy healing, shadow work, and more, reminding us we're all powerful creators here to heal and thrive. Welcome to the show, Melanie. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
So, let me ask you the big question. What's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
Okay, so impacting the world it really starts with you. It really does. So we can think, oh, well, I'll go out and help people and I'll do all this wonderful stuff. But from my perspective, the single most important thing you can do is work on your own field, because we are all connected energetically and we have our individual consciousness, but we're also part of a collective consciousness. When we work on ourselves and we think, oh no, that's selfish, I can't do that. Actually, that has a ripple effect out into the universe. That affects all of humanity because we're connected. So when we nurture ourselves, when we love ourselves, when we speak to ourselves more kindly instead of criticizing ourselves all the time, that affects other people, even if you're not directly doing that to other people. Because when your energy field vibrates higher in spaces of love and peace and all these wonderful things, it affects the people around you, not just the people physically around you, but the whole of humanity. It's incredibly powerful. So start with you, because you are actually number one.
So, what does spiritual awakening truly look like and feel like? And are there common signs that people experience on this path?
It looks different to everybody, of course, because we're all unique and we have our own unique journey. I think there is a misconception that a spiritual awakening is when you just sit and meditate and, butterflies come flying around you and everything's wonderful. Actually, spiritual awakening is usually quite messy and quite painful, not to put anyone off, but it often the catalyst for the awakening is pain, is grief, is loss. It's some major shift in our life that causes us to hit rock bottom and to start to question, okay, what's all this about? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Surely we don't come to Earth to just live our lives, get a job, retire and die. There's got to be more to it than that. And we start to question everything. And I think that when we hit rock bottom, that's when we're so desperate to claw our way back up. It's through the darkness that we look for the light. So very often it starts with pain, I would say, something that causes us to go within. Not always, but a lot of the time. And then the awakening is when we start to question our behaviors, question our beliefs, question whether this is everything or there's more to it. Is there life on other planets? Have I been here before? What happens when you die? All of those questions that generally we don't ask in everyday life. That's when the awakening happens, because then synchronistically things will come to you that will answer those questions, because the universe will bring you what you think about. And then you start to think, wow, I only thought about that this morning and it's just turned up in the most bizarre way. And you realize how your thoughts create the reality you're experiencing. And then, the amount of things I've learned over the years since I started my awakening, it changes you as a person. There's no going back once you're awake. You can't go back to sleep. You have to be awake and aware of everything, energy, vibration, the interconnectedness between everything. It's that journey, and your path will be windy and you'll go down different routes. But, it should end up with you feeling more connected than you ever did before, and more confident that this is not all there is, because you feel that there's more to life than just the physical reality that we live in.
So that kind of brings us to the multidimensional beings that
Mm.
we 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 are. And do you think you can break that down in simple terms for somebody just starting out, what that kind
I,
of means?
I can try. Let me think. So, multidimensional means basically occupying more than one dimension. And a dimension isn't necessarily a physical place. So obviously it's difficult for us as humans. We think of, we move from this place to this place and to this place and that everything's separate. Dimensions are really a vibration. It's a space of consciousness. So the soul vibrates at one level, the physical body vibrates at a different level. So we are in what we would call the 3D world, but our soul is of a much higher dimension. And the soul is within us now having this experience, and it's in what I call the spirit world. It's in that super, super high vibrational space that we live in before we come and have a physical life. And I think that's a really beautiful knowing because many people will accept that we have a soul, but they think the soul is within my body and it's tightly held within this body, and actually it comes out here and it's everywhere. But the soul is living in the spirit world right now whilst you're here having this experience, and it's also here. It's a bit of a head spinner, but that's what multidimensional really means. You're there and here at the same time. You are spirit and you are human. You're not just this physical vessel. You're so much more than that and so much more powerful than we've perhaps understood to date.
Remember a time when I must have been 17 or 18. I was going to school in Hawaii, and I was driving. I remember driving in Honolulu. I went to the University of Hawaii. Um, and having thoughts about where does your soul reside in your body? I mean, that's the conversation I was having in my mind. And I remember the conversation. Sometimes you hang on to things over the years. They're seemingly random thoughts at the time, but it was really an intense conversation I was having with myself in the wondering about, where does the soul exist? Is it in your brain? Is it in your heart? Is it in your gut? And I was trying to like justify all of that. And I think I've come to the conclusion that it exists in your aura, that that's the physical manifestation of your being or of your soul. And I've been able to see auras for a large part of my life. It's not like I look at somebody and I see them. It's kind of like a side vision sort of thing that I do. But yeah, that was one of those like aha moments for me. That when it comes to being multidimensional, I think we live in a lot of different dimensions all at the same time. And sometimes we were talking a little bit about talking about we create our own realities. We can move, I think we call them timelines, but we can move from one reality to another reality just by changing our minds.
Yeah, I love that because I think sometimes timelines confuses people as well because again we get this kind of linear perspective of what that actually means, but it's just we shift dimensions all the time and we're not even aware of it, and we do it through our thoughts, through our frequency, and we can't see our frequency, so we don't notice it changing. But you know how your mood changes and you can feel the energy shifting and changing with a change of mood. Well, it's the same thing. And then we shift through these different dimensions. And many of us are moving into more of a fifth dimensional consciousness at the moment, although we're still physically on the same planet. But we will witness different things. We will see different people, different events will happen around us. And, people talk about like the Mandela effect when people remember things differently. Maybe that is because they were on slightly different timelines. That's my theory around that. And I think we're going to see that more and more where people say, no, no, this event happened like this. And somebody else is like, no, it absolutely didn't. It happened like this because they were on slightly different timelines, same planet, almost like a parallel. I look at them as like parallel versions of the Earth, like a parallel reality is how I see timelines.
You can see it when you talk to people because different people, a- and I'm going to bring up some things that are like kind of out there, like Tartaria. There are people that have trouble thinking of history the way we've been taught, that, you know, there was the biblical times, and before that were, the pre-biblical times, and then all of these things happened, and they're independent of other things happening, and then and that's just the way it is, and the earth is round and it spins through space, and that's just the way it is. And we went to the moon and we landed on the moon, and that's just the way it is. And we're told to just accept all of these things. There's groups of people that are thinking, maybe history isn't what we've been told it was. Maybe there's like other elements that have happened with it, and maybe some of the things that we experience and we see didn't really happen that way, because if you look at it, it's like, this doesn't make sense. But in this time that we're in, there's so much AI happening also that it's really hard to differentiate between what actually you're seeing and what has been composited for you to see. And when you look at, the images that are from the moon, um, or from space, it's like we have better AI now. I'm sorry. It's
And I
it's
think
like
what's,
cringy 60s movies.
yeah, I think what's really interesting is that AI is kind of showing us what's been here all along, how easy it is to manipulate reality in quotes.
Mhm.
And people can watch it and say, but I've seen it and I've seen it and it's real. Yeah, you might be watching it, but it's completely constructed. So if we can do this now with AI, do you think that this is new or that they maybe people have been constructing? Of course, the more
Narratives.
people you can get to believe something, the more powerful that belief is, because when we're all believing the same thing, it goes into the collective consciousness, and then more people believe it, and more people do, and then eventually everybody accepts it as truth. But it started from somewhere. And what I like to try and do is to discern truth, is try and tap into the energy that created the truth in the first place. Where did that come from? Does this feel genuine, or does it feel like there's something slightly artificial about its origin? And by sort of tapping into the energy behind it, sometimes you can feel like, no, this right, this doesn't ring true. There's something about this story that I don't quite believe. And I don't think this is new. I think this has been happening for a very long time, but we are realizing now how manipulated we've been by some very clever people who've been playing this game for a very long time. But the game is changing now, and this is a really exciting time to be on Earth.
Oh, for sure. And
Mm,
and the more that it changes and the more that the deception becomes visible, the less important it is to be right. I like I'll just I believe that we live on a flat surface. I don't know what shape the earth is, but I don't think that people are like stuck to the outside of a ball, or that water sticks to the outside of a globe. It Physics doesn't work that way. And that's just my opinion, and it doesn't matter in the realm of anything what my opinion is about the shape of the earth. It's okay. I can believe that. It doesn't make any difference in my relationships with any other people that I run into, and I don't really care what they think the world looks like. It just it gives you some freedom in allowing you to be able to hold some beliefs that may or may not be true, but it doesn't even matter if they're true or not. But if you
mm.
can hold them, then you can hold some other concepts that are important, like maybe things aren't the way that you've been told they are. I think we've lost you. Hold on.
Okay.
All right. And then we're back.
Wonderful. Um, so I often talk to my higher self and I do ask questions in a very human way. And my higher self's trying to teach me more about this reality that we've created and gets me to think about things. So I'll say, what happened with this particular thing that we've been told about in history? And I pretty much get the answer, well, what would you like to have happened? Which version of history would you like to believe in? Because
Mhm,
there's more than one. There's whichever one you want to choose. They've all been created because we've all thought about them. What would you
mhm,
like to believe? And that's really interesting because as a human, you think, well, I just want the truth. Which version of the truth would you like? There's more than one. And I'm starting to realize, like, oh, okay, maybe things aren't quite as stuck and solid and linear as we think they are, because even linear time doesn't exist. We've just created that as an experience that we have. So it's interesting how I'm being guided to think in a very different way. What belief would you like? Does it make you feel good? Okay, have that belief, and that's your truth, and that did happen because on one version of the earth, it did.
mhm. And we're free to create any version of reality that we want. And I think the
Yeah.
more versions we create and share without judgment and allow others the same respect to create their own reality, that we don't have to have a truth, because what is truth anyway?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
That's the thing. And people fall out, they get very upset when they believe
Oh, yeah.
something. They're so protective over their beliefs. But if we can just get people out of that rigidity and just see that, we can all have different beliefs and we're all right, really. No one's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's the same with creating your future. Which future would you like to create? Which timeline would you like to experience? Because they're all there. Infinite
Mhm,
possibilities. It's not just one. It feels like one because of the way we've set this experience up as a human. It feels like there's just one way forward. But that's part of the game, it's part of the experiment. But we have so much more power to create and shape our reality that we've not been told before. Now we're getting sort of free rein to go and create. We are creators, all of us.
mhm.
We just don't realize it. But now we're starting to. It's quite fun.
We're so powerful.
Mm,
People, you in the beginning we were talking about, how do you experience a spiritual awakening? And it's usually through pain. People, I remember thinking, I'm not going to even say people, I'm just going to say me. I remember thinking, oh, I want to have a spiritual awakening. Little did I know.
I had
Oh,
that
no,
thought.
you don't.
Oh, this is going to be fun. And one of my friends said to me at the time, don't think it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's the most difficult thing I've ever done. But once you've started, there's no way back. And I thought, oh, he's being a drama queen. I'll be all right. He
No,
wasn't.
no, it wasn't. It's you go through a period of time where you actually think you're losing your mind.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
It's just like,
Yeah,
I must be crazy because the world looks crazy to me. I
yeah,
just can't believe these things that people tell me are true, because I see evidence that works for me. And, the evidence that works for me doesn't work for everybody. And I can respect that. Now, this wasn't always the story, but now it's like, you know, you you can create whatever world you want. Let's see what you come up with. It's going to be interesting.
it's going to be very interesting, especially how many years, maybe a couple of decades. I think we're going to see a lot of change, but because we're creating as individuals, but we are collectively creating as well. And that's where, it's very powerful because there's some powerful shifts happening with people's attitudes, with what they're willing to put up with and what they will stand up against and say no.
Mhm.
And also I think we're just not getting involved in some of the drama that's been created for us to experience. And we were just saying, no, I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing that. I'm not going to be frightened by this story that you've made up. So I'm just going to ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. And then I create a different timeline in which it doesn't.
I I often comment to my husband when we're walking. Let's just pretend like Washington doesn't exist at all. And maybe one day it won't. I don't like to get into politics because I don't like politics at all. Either side, all of it. It could just
Yeah.
go like not exist. And I think the world would be a much better place. I'm a true anarchist at heart. I don't believe in borders. I don't believe in governments. I don't believe anybody should be controlled. I don't think the land should be owned. I don't think water should be owned. I don't think air
Mm,
should be owned. I don't think natural resources should be owned. I think that people should have personal responsibility. And, if they choose to live outside the framework of the society that you wish to create in your small collective, then you banish them. You don't imprison them, you just banish them.
no.
And, you get banished enough, and you either learn to live by yourself or you learn how to fit into a society somewhere. That's,
And I do wonder where we're going with these changes. Are we going to see the complete decline of governments and we do something different? Because let's face it, they're not working for us. They're not working for us, and they haven't done for a long time.
ah,
And, people keep voting differently and thinking change is coming. It doesn't. It will come when we stop voting and we say, we're not playing
be
this game
your own
anymore.
damn
We're not
hero.
playing it anymore. So, and then that will feel catastrophic because that will be a massive change and
Mhm,
people can get quite upset with change. So we need to be ready for something like that.
mhm.
But we need to walk the walk a bit more because complaining about things isn't doing any good. Let's focus on what we want to create and not fight against what we don't want anymore because you keep energizing something you think about. And if you're thinking about something you don't want, you're giving it energy, you're feeding it. That's what people want you to do. Whether you like it or hate it, if you're giving it attention, that's what that
You're
particular
going to get
person
more of it.
wants. Exactly. They tell you at school, ignore your bullies. Don't give them any attention. They want to upset you. When you ignore them, they stop doing it. The same with adults.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can actually energetically block people.
Mm, yeah.
If you set the intention that you are going to energetically block somebody, then I've seen it actually happen in real life. I've done this to a person who was causing me to be really upset, and I just energetically blocked them, and they physically could not speak to me. They would try, but they just couldn't open their mouth to say anything. It was like, whoa, this is powerful.
It would, if we think about, when we think about somebody, a friend of ours, we might not have seen them for a long time. We think about them, we bump into them, or they phone us. We see
Mhm,
them because we energetically draw them to us because we're thinking about them. So if
mhm,
we can bring people to us when we're thinking about them, we can move people away from us with the
mhm.
same energy. I don't want to use the word manipulation, but using energy in a way that serves you. And if you say, I actually don't want this person in my life anymore, I don't want to see them, I'm going to
Mhm,
cut that off, cut that tie. It's like they disappear because we have
mhm.
that power as well. We're not being mean, we're just choosing who we want to energetically connect with and who we don't want to energetically connect with. It's just how it
and
is.
it, and you can wish good things for them.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not like
absolutely.
you're I'm blocking this person in. I
No,
hope they die.
yeah,
Don't do that,
no,
because
let them
you
be.
actually have that kind of power. So just um release them with love
Yeah,
out into the wild, not in your little bubble anymore. And we
yeah,
all live in little bubbles, energy bubbles, and they can be really close or they can be really, robust. It just depends on how you wish to create your reality and who you wish to have in it. And you have so much power, so much power.
And if there's people with, relationships that are not sustaining them, that are not for their highest good, please don't think that, well, I'm stuck with this because for some reason, on some level, you are creating that link with that person. They're not just in your life to spite you. You're somehow keeping them in your life with your energy. So if you really want to just let go of somebody,
Mhm.
you release them from you keeping hold of them. It's not the other person. It all comes back to
It's
us. We need to
you.
realize that it's our We're doing everything to us. No one else is. So we
Mhm.
need to release these people from our lives. We might need to take some action with that, but that's our responsibility. We're not stuck with people or stuck with jobs or situations that we hate. We've somehow chosen it and we can choose again at any
Mhm.
moment.
Yep. There's all that exists is the ever present now. And we, again, we have so much power to be able to make decisions. And I do think that we come here with a mission. And sometimes people come with us and they may be in our life for a season to teach us something. It's not that they don't like us, it's not that they mean us ill will. We came here and we agreed that this would be the experience that we went through, and in love they chose to be that catalyst for us to be able to change. And change often happens through pain and the dark times. Back to the spiritual awakening. It's not all sunshine and roses. It's really great when you get on the other side and
Yeah,
and
it
you
is good.
you feel like you got some footing, but the tunnel is dark and you keep bumping into things that you don't understand.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of we need to have a slightly different perspective on things in life because if somebody comes to earth to allow you to have a lesson, so if you want to, at the level of the soul before you incarnated, if you said,
Mm,
I want to experience forgiveness, you need something to forgive, which means somebody needs to hurt you, or you can't have that experience.
yeah.
So somebody will say, I'll be your perpetrator and
Mhm.
then you can forgive me, and then I'll go through my guilt, and then we'll move into a space of acceptance. And this is a wonderful experience we get to have together. But when we're in the human experience, we play the victim, we feel upset, and we kind of see it from this linear perspective. But if we can look at it from the view of the soul, why would my soul want me to have experienced this? What have I actually benefited from this experience? Have I got stronger? Have I got more resilient? Do I stand up for myself more now? Have I learned forgiveness? Have I learned unconditional love because somebody's hurt me, but I love them anyway? Have I learned these things? But we can't have that experience without somebody playing the perpetrator. We can't do it. So somebody has to volunteer to come and be that person and play that role, that temporary role that they're playing.
And sometimes those people play more than one role. It may be the role where you get hurt, but they're also hurt.
Yeah,
And there's a dynamic in there. And then it plays out between parents and kids all the time. It- It's just, I think because of the internet and because of some artificial connectivity that didn't used to exist. I mean, there was a time not that long ago where people didn't really stay connected with their extended families. And, you maybe wrote letters a few times a year. Maybe you didn't. But now it's like if you're not in constant contact with people, then they must be mad at you. They must be cutting you out of their life. It's just weird, weird dynamics, but it does exist. It can exist simultaneously where one party is injuring the other party, but they're both doing it to each other. And we come
very
here
often.
with
Yeah.
that. We come here with that.
Yeah. And again, there's a lesson there. There's a lesson when you come out the other end, you think, would I do that again? If would I do the same thing again if I could relive that? And if not, then don't worry and beat yourself up about it, but just recognize, okay, this is maybe how I would have liked to have played that out if I
Mhm.
had the opportunity again. That's growth. That's another reason we come here. We have that growth when we realize we've learned something. Imagine if we came here all perfect and got everything right. There'd be no fun in it. It'd be really boring.
What's the
So,
point?
exactly. And sometimes we do have the best lessons through that discomfort and we have the biggest growth. That's what the soul wants, really. It wants that growth. So it will kind of line things up for us. Opportunities for growth. We have free will around, what we do, but the soul wants to grow. It's not trying to punish us.
And yeah, things are going to happen in life, and it's like how are you going to experience it. And we have choices about how we go through these experiences too. And often the experience is more about what we think about the experience than the actual experience itself. And we have all the power to decide how we're going to um how we're going to go through the experience. Like something bad can happen to you and you can choose to be the victim and have it drag you down, and you can be all glum and woe is me, the world is always going to be like this for me and it's never going to be any different. Always and never does not exist. There's
Yeah.
only now, and now can be different. It's just like you can remember that thing differently. You can
Yeah,
make up
yeah,
a different story because everything that you experience is all made up anyway.
exactly. And I think that's another really key point is that when we remember something that happened to us, if we didn't like it, why don't you change it? Remember it differently. There you go.
Yeah,
New memory. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's imagined and what's real.
that's right.
So why not give your brain some really nice memories that didn't exist physically for you, but did you have created that version, and then the memory is no different because it's still only a remember. It's a memory. It's an
Mhm.
energy. It's not physically happening to you now. So create a different one. Just change it. It's very healing actually to do that sometimes, especially if you keep replaying something and beating yourself up about something. You keep re-energizing it. You don't need to do that. You don't need to heal from it and keep going over it. You just need to change it and accept it and then do differently next time.
Yeah. It's really all there is to it. And it
Yeah.
sounds super simple, but it's taken a long time to get to this point
Yeah.
where it's like, yeah, I can I can choose to make up whatever I want to make up.
Yeah.
It's my story. I'm going to tell it how I want to tell it, and you can tell your story how you want to tell it.
Life's way more fun that way. And you'll still have people saying, well, that's silly to do that because you've only had one past and you've only got one present and one future and everything's very rigid and that's crazy. But it's not. It's not.
It's
How
not at
how does it
all.
how does it make you feel to imagine a past that was beautiful? Makes you feel great. And then you're more likely to experience more of that anyway because the law of attraction brings us more of those things we think about. So
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
Join the crazy club. It's fun.
yeah. We live in a much better world.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm imagining a great past, and the future looks bright.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you actually coach people like one-on-one in groups, or do you just do courses? How does all your like coaching part work?
Well, currently I do online courses. I have seven,
Hmm.
and each course comes with a Q&A board. So people have access to me and they can private email me if they have a question they don't want other people to see. It's great using the Q&A board because other students might benefit from the question they
Yeah.
ask me. But I do have sometimes people private message if they just want to ask a question. So they get that one-on-one support from me by email throughout the course, and that's they have lifetime access. You can ask me a question 3 years after they started the course. It's not a problem. And I love interacting with my students. I really like it when they ask me questions. I am considering doing something slightly different going forward. I'm going to start channeling. So
Hmm.
that might bring in some group work and something a little bit more intimate with people so that I can get to know them a bit better. But that's probably a project for 2026. But currently it's on my all of my courses online. People can download them. They've got lifetime access, self-paced. Work on it when you've got time. If you leave it for a couple of weeks, it's fine. Pick it back up when you've got time. I like learning that way, so that's why I teach that way myself.
I like that too. I'm very much about when you're in my world, you're just like, I'll give you everything.
Yeah.
I just want you to like add to it and let's create something beautiful and see where it all goes. So I know that you offer exclusive members only content and workshops for people that sign up with you for free. How does all
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah. So basically, I decided to keep everything free on my website because I want people to just have a little taster of my teaching style before they buy a course from me.
Mhm.
just see if it vibes with them or not. Because we buy from people, you need to sort of try before you buy a little bit. So I thought, well, I'll put some free stuff on my website, and then I got a bit carried away, so I put quite a lot on there. I've got a freebies page, and I thought, I'll do workshops. So the freebies page is on my website, but you'll get prompted when you log onto my website to sign up for my newsletter.
Mhm.
Once you've done that, you log in then with an email address or Gmail details or whatever you choose. And then two hidden tabs will appear. One of them says members only, one of them says workshops. And then fill your boots, enjoy, download as much as you want. There's about 8 or 9 workshops on there and a few things you can download. So yeah, I want people to enjoy that and have access to that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And they can find you at,
So it's www.melanie-stevens.com.
love it. Thank you so much for joining me today, Melanie. This has been a great conversation about my
It's
favorite
been
topic.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
To learn more about Melanie and sign up for free access to our workshops and members only content, please visit melanie-stevens.com, and we'll be sure to put those links in the show notes below. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you have a podcast or you're interested in starting one, be sure to reach out to us at support@heartlifecoach.com. We love to help spiritual entrepreneurs and coaches amplify their voice and monetize their mission, and offer a variety of ways to do this on Substack. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.